Welcome into Win Daily Sports, presented by the Sharp app. My name is Jon Jansen. Follow me at jjansen34. Joined today, as I am every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, my man Stoweby at Stoweby. Right on there, you see on the screen. Stoweby, how you doing, man? Oh, the hat's looking good, buddy.
You like it. I got a little too much salad in the bowl, so I figured I'd throw the hat on today. So
yeah,
I had to get a little fancy for everybody.
It's looking good. It's looking good. Maybe that Win Daily hat, maybe a little bit of luck for you this fantasy football season. Now, is that gonna be the lucky hat?
We will see week 1.
Yeah, week 1. By the way, that's coming up. So why not sign up right now over at windailysports.com. Sign up for one of them gold memberships. I like gold memberships. Yeah, that's right.
Like
me and Mike McCarthy have something in common. We love Austin Power references. And
oh boy,
you can sign up for a gold membership over at windailysports.com. Also, why not subscribe to our YouTube channel at Win Daily Sports as well. We'll have DFS content throughout the NFL season. But today, right now, as we're sitting here, we've already gone through the top 5 must-have wide receivers. So how about we go through the top 5 that we must avoid this season? Stoweby, there's got to be a few guys that you have in mind when it comes to avoiding in fantasy this year. And do there have to be those guys on your list? You know, guys that you just, okay, we cannot take these guys. Like we always have the ones we like. Are there the ones that we always dislike?
Yeah, there are guys that I tend to avoid. Unless I'm getting some sort of ridiculous 2, 3, 4 round value on a guy, there are guys that I do fade.
Yeah, and we're going to tell you who those guys are right now. You can find the season-long rankings that we're going to take some of these numbers from over at windailysports.com. So I'll let you start it off first. We'll try and do the same thing as you did with our must-haves. Wide receivers cannot be in the same round. So if a wide receiver's in the first round that we're saying to avoid, we can't pick another one, which is going to be a little tough. I already saw the tough the face there. Go, ooh, yeah, this is going to be a little tough. But we'll be able to find some receivers for you. We'll start off with you. Who do you think we should be avoiding?
Because there's only if we're talking in the first round, there's only like 3 guys that go in the first round. So
yes, and it doesn't have to be first round. It can,
okay,
but we just can't pick guys in the same round. Basically, we're trying to give you in different tiers and different groupings of who to avoid. So if you get to a spot in a draft and you have our top 5 must-have wide receivers, these are different in what you would avoid. So if you're in that round and you're between a couple of players, maybe not this guy.
All right, I'll go ahead and it's actually a little bit further down the list, but one guy that I will not have on my fantasy teams, don't hate me, Sticks, Mike Evans. I will not be having, because I do not see, career high touchdown numbers coming again when there's even more weapons on a field. I expect supreme regression, and he has a tendency to have years where he just drops tons of passes. So he's well off of my radar.
Yeah, him, and I'm going to stick around with the same group that you're in too, because this guy in the Win Daily rankings is 1 spot behind him. And I know this is going to sound a little bit weird and bad because this guy's been consistent, this guy's been great, but like Julio Jones is in an offense where, he can get things done, but where we're drafting him at, like I would rather take like a Robert Woods, Deontay Johnson, guys who I know are going to have as much target share as they want and have these huge ceilings. Even if Julio Jones, like if I'm drafting at that spot, I want a guy with a big ceiling. I don't think there's a big ceiling for Julio Jones. There's a nice little floor there, but there's just, this offense isn't going to change. Like this is still a rushing offense, and we already have 2 dominant receivers that they have to share targets, like with Julio Jones and AJ Brown together. Now, again, Julio could be good enough, and he is good enough that he could get only around 100 targets and still get over 1,000 yards. But this isn't the same Julio Jones. This isn't the same Falcons offense. I don't see that much of the target share going his way. Like you could see 99 receptions a couple of years ago and think, oh, we can get 99 receptions in this offense. Like that was on 157 targets. This
Mm-hmm.
is probably going to be one where he has around 100 targets and probably about 70 receptions. Like that, and that to me is the best case scenario. So to me, there's such a limit on Julio Jones that I'd rather go. Like, I think there's a much higher ceiling with. I think there's a much higher ceiling with Robert Woods. I think there's a much higher ceiling with Deontay Johnson. And I'd rather take those guys instead of Julio Jones, where the ceiling's kind of just capped a little bit.
Yeah, and there's still people out there in the industry talking about he's a top wide receiver. It's like, no, I'm not there with you anymore, guys. I'm sorry. It's like, I love the guy, but Father Time's undefeated. He spent pretty much that entire season last year dinged up. He was fighting through it, but
that's also in there as well. Like, yes.
Yep. And my next one's going to be a little bit surprising to some people, but I think you already know why. I'm very underweight on a guy like Tyler Lockett. And that is because of his boom bust nature and the way that he always, and it's been going on for years now.
Yeah.
He will have weeks where he does not catch anything. And then he'll have a random game where he catches 14 passes for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. And I think last year, like between 60 and 65% of his whole production on the season came in 2 football games. And that's not something that I love the guy for like certain DFS spots.
Yeah,
so,
great DFS or best ball type of player.
Yeah, great DFS, great best ball guy. But if you're drafting him in seasonal, just look elsewhere because he's going to be a nightmare. You're going to get so pissed because he'll have 4 bad weeks and you're like, you know what? I'm benching him. And then he'll have that game and then you'll put him back in and then he'll do like nothing again for 3 weeks. So you'll take him back out again and then he'll do it again. And he does it every single year. It's just the way that he is. I love the talent, but I cannot predict when it's going to happen.
No, you can't. And again, I think that's great for best ball scenarios, DFS. But yeah, season long, it's just so frustrating to roster that guy. And another one, I'm going to be right around you again here. Like I see it in some places with ADP, right below him. But DJ Moore, I just think he's the odd man out. Like, this isn't. I love Joe Brady's offense, and it was great last season.
Mm-hmm.
In order for them both to be 1,000-yard receivers again, I'm talking about Anderson and DJ Moore, Sam Darnold would have to take a major leap in terms of his accuracy and getting the ball to those guys efficiently. I just don't see that happening. Now, the big play potential could be there, but I just think that benefits one guy only in Robbie Anderson. Robbie Anderson's the big play receiver. Robbie Anderson's the guy for this. I don't think DJ Moore is. I think DJ Moore suffers. Like, I see about an 800-yard, receiving season for him, and he's sort of, to me, the odd man out. Sam Darnold is not the quarterback that I trust enough to sustain 2 top-level receivers in the NFL. And that's what Teddy Bridgewater did last year. Say what you want about Teddy Bridgewater. He had a 69% completion percentage. Like, he was getting it to him. That wasn't the issue. He was getting it there. So I find that tough to repeat in this offense again with Sam Darnold at the helm. And I don't think they can do it. And I'm really skeptical about that offense.
I'm glad he was on my list. He was going to be one that I mentioned. So So if you didn't get to him, I was going to get to him. I feel the same way you do about him. I guess I'll go ahead and move down on mine a little bit. One guy that I am going to go ahead and not be drafting in my seasonal leagues is Jamar Chase. I'm gonna wait a season. We've already talked about it. It seems like he has the yips. They already have talented pieces there that are proven. So if he is struggling to catch the ball, they have 2 other targets. They'll just choose to not give him the passing volume if he ends up having those issues. So I expect him to take several weeks, like multiple weeks, because he took the whole last season off. For folks who don't know, he's not quite up to speed yet, and I think he's not going to get up to speed until probably the second half of this year.
Yeah, that offense is going to be tough, and I mean the yips do concern me. I think what just concerns me is is honestly just the Cincinnati offense. Like, I think Jamar Chase will get opportunities and he'll be fine. Like the drops thing certainly, like, and I think you were trying to say there, it might not last all season.
I don't think it'll last all season.
Right. This could just be knocking off rust from not playing a year ago at LSU. But
that's my thought.
To add to the concern for me, I think Jamar Chase is the best outside receiver in that offense. He's better than T. Higgins. Like, T. Higgins is a one-trick pony. And I like T. Higgins, but he's just a big, tall receiver that's just going to go down the field and you throw it up to him. It's not like this guy has a eclectic route tree. It's not like he could run everywhere. It's one thing. He's just a big dude, and that's about it. Jamar Chase is much more versatile, and so I think there's a potential. But I am really skeptical of this Cincinnati offense, and I'm a little bit concerned that there might not be enough for Jamar Chase and even T. Higgins to both stand out because Joe Burrow's coming off. I think they'll be fine, but Joe Burrow's coming off a major knee injury, and we've seen quarterbacks before take a while to come back from that. I know it's just the quarterback position, but we've seen him kind of get slowly into things. The offensive line is absolutely terrible. They had no, I guess, reason at all, or they just had no motivation at all, is a better way to put it, to actually fix it. Instead, they just went out and got Jamar Chase. And Zach Taylor, he might not be good. Like, Zach Taylor might legitimately be a trash garbage coach. So I just don't see this offense being so potent that we have to draft Jamar Chase and T. Higgins this high. I'm very concerned about it.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off of what you said, I hate using that phrase. I just can't believe I just did that. Also, with that leg injury, do you think that coaching staff will decide to lean on to somebody like Joe Mixon more to like get him up to speed, just to give him a heavy dose of carries early on in the season?
Could be. I'm sure they don't want to put him in harm's way too much early. Like, I think out of
step drops and
out of all of this, what it helps most is Tyler Boyd. Tyler Boyd is the one we know.
Back to Tyler Boyd.
He's gonna get peppered in games with just a bunch of targets, and he's the one again that his skill set is much different than the other two, and it stands out in a way. So I think Tyler Boyd's fine, especially because he's being drafted, behind the other two. I just have a really, really hard time thinking that this offense is going to be good enough that, it's worth drafting Jamar Chase there. And again, I'm going to stick around with you. I don't like Kenny Galladay at all. He already had some injury problems coming into this year. And Daniel Jones looks terrible. And so that could be a complete disaster. And not just preseason. Like, there's a chance. And look, I think there could be a little bit of a breakout for Daniel Jones. But even if it does, let's just say go that way, this Jason Garrett offense is just not meant for wide receivers and meant for volume in the passing game. It's non-existent. It's not been there. It's never been there. I don't expect it to be there this season. Jason Garrett, we know what the offense is going to be. They want to run the ball, and they're going to go off of play action. They're probably going to throw 20, 25 times a game. They're not going to drop back Daniel Jones the way like Buffalo drops back Josh Allen. It's never going to happen. Or even the way Detroit dropped back Matthew Stafford a bunch of times. That just doesn't happen in this offense. And so I think there's a limit to what Kenny Galladay's numbers can be. And again, like, when I'm drafting around these guys, I would rather get a little bit more of a ceiling, higher up in these drafts. And I just think the ceiling is capped because of what this offense is and what a Jason Garrett offense has always been. So I can't trust it at all.
That's fair. I'm right there with you. I've got no complaints. It's just, that's the way I felt about the whole thing. Honestly, if you want to get a Giants piece, get one cheaper and you'll be fine.
That's fine. Like Sterling Chet, and that's the thing too. So we're in a limited volume passing offense with absolutely a ton of options to throw to. Kadarius Toney, you have Sterling Shepard, you have Darius Slayton. And yes, Kenny Galladay is the best receiver of that group, but there's a lot of targets to go around. But there's a lot of weapons to throw to with not a lot of target share to go around.
Jason Garrett
I don't like
offense.
that. Yes,
Yep.
it's all Jason Garrett. If this was any other offense, I am all in on Kenny Galladay. In a Jason Garrett offense, no way. None.
Nope.
Can't do it. Won't do it. No way. Go ahead. By the
Did
way,
you just channel your inner Singletary there?
yeah, a little bit. Can't do it. Would you trade for Kyler Murray and Kyle Pitts and give away Fitz, Keenan, Robinson, Higbee, 2 QB league, half PPR?
Is this?
I have Hopkins on my team.
What's you see 2 quarterback?
Yeah,
league,
2 quarterback, half PPR.
Is this a dynasty league, or did you already draft?
That's a good question. I'm really skeptical about this one. I would have to know the running backs. Because again, everything always comes back to me. Like running back depth is kind of key. And if you're getting a top quarterback, Fitzpatrick, I don't think is going to be any good. But
yeah,
he can provide enough fantasy value that I wouldn't trade away all of this.
Tell me who your other quarterback is, and tell me if this is a redraft or if this is a dynasty league.
Yeah. I agree.
And I will answer your question.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll see if we're able to get that question in. But all right, next, I went with Kenny Galladay. What do you got for me? What do you got for me next?
Let me see. Oh, sorry. Close that down. That question threw me off, so I changed the All right, look, I didn't think I was going to need to even mention this guy's name because we've brought it up, and I brought it up in our Discord server. But I've seen these drafts going, and I've seen one particular person in everybody's freaking IR spot. Michael Thomas.
Can't do it. Yes, he should not even be on your board. Can't.
Like, if you're drafting Michael Thomas, you're making a mistake. You wasted a spot. I know you can put him in the IR and you can pick somebody up off of waivers, but you just lost whatever round you got him in. He might. I will probably be the first person to say this. He may be healthy after week 6, recovering from that ankle, but he might not come back for the entire season. You guys got to remember, he hurt himself during the last season. He ignored the doctor's advice on having surgery for the entire offseason. And he has been running and practicing and jumping and trying to get himself into football shape, pushing his body on a bad ankle. So there is no telling how much more damage he did. Like, blood flow issues are a thing. Like, if you damage something and you don't get it fixed, he could have lost blood flow to other areas, create issues with ligaments in other areas, create deformities, scarring that won't go away. There are just a litany of question marks from a health standpoint. Plus, the guy was talking about sitting there looking
like New Orleans,
a jilted third grader who saw his ex-girlfriend walk around with a new boyfriend or something. It's like some child stuff. He's like throwing a tantrum on Twitter. You don't want anything to do with what that guy is.
Has to be off your board. I think so, at least.
Yeah, he's not going to play this season. I am almost 100% certain he will not play at all. So don't waste that draft spot. Get somebody that's actually going to. It's like with Josh Gordon all those years. You're drafting him thinking he'll get a chance to come back on a lead, come back to play, and then he has another failed drug test or something. It kind of feels along the lines of that with me. I don't think he's going to come back this year.
No, I don't think so either. And even if he does, it'll be late in the season where it's just not even worth it. So we have a little bit of a question from Brian. Loving Marlon Mack with the last pick. I would have said yes not too long ago, but why I'm a little reserved is, like, we got all of those stories about Achilles injuries with running backs, with Cam Akers. When Cam Akers went down with that, and to see the list of running backs that have come back from Achilles injuries and just have never been the same, and a lot of them out of the league now, I would have said yes, but this seems like such a tough injury to come back from. I don't know. Like, he could be healthy by week 3 to 4, but is he ever going to be the same running back again? And I mean, obviously Jonathan Taylor's a number 1 guy. Like, I mean, Jonathan Taylor is going to be so good that I don't know how you would justify putting Mac on the field for more than about like 5 to 10 touches per game.
I'll put it with a caveat. Yes, if Jonathan Taylor is your running back,
fine. Yes.
I would not take him as just a standalone piece
because Mac is a very clear like handcuff here.
Yeah, he would be the one to slide into that role, even if it would be diminished. So, in regards to that, I think you're okay with the last pick. It's not like you're risking anything. You know, you're gonna throw away your final pick anyway. Most of the time on these things with the news that gets changed and all that stuff. So yeah, fine. Go ahead, get you some Mac if you've got Jonathan Taylor as your running back. If not, I would stay away.
Yeah, I would as well. Speaking of stay away, we're going over the top 5 must avoid wide receivers going into fantasy this year.
I like that. That's a professional little segue right there.
Oh, dude, we're so great. We're just fantastic over here at WinDailySports.com. This is all being sponsored by the Sharp app. Go and check that out. Download it where you get your apps, any app store that you can find. So download the Sharp app. This is all sponsored by that. And also make sure to subscribe WinDailySports.com and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for more DFS content. I think I'm down to one more wide receiver, and I think we both are. So I will go with my next one and last one. I could be burned by this one very easily. I think it's going to take a lot though for Henry Gruggs to be fantasy viable. Like the numbers were just not there. We're expecting a huge leap from a guy who had 26 receptions. And I don't think this Raiders passing offense is going to be as good as it was last season. Like there's so much regression and potential for regression in this Raiders offense. Like I don't know, man. I just don't see it with Ruggs. And maybe he just and that's what I hate to say because I think the dude has talent and he's quick, but it does seem like his game needs to be worked on a little bit more for him to be a great wide receiver in this league. And I just don't see it. It would have to be a huge leap for me to want to take him. And I don't know if I see that happening.
Do you have his snap shares pulled up anywhere?
I do not. No.
I don't either. I'd have to go through a bunch of stuff to find it. But I do think he was kind of limited on his snap shares as well. I mean, when he came into the league kind of raw from the get-go. So it may not happen this year coming up. I mean, it could happen this year. He theoretically could make that next step, but with as raw as he was in his first season, I think he might need one more year. That's just kind of my lean, but I mean, we'll see. Well, we'll see there. I understand your thought process on that. That's a mighty big leap for a guy like him.
Right. It is. You know what? That's another thing too. I don't know. Are the Raiders, any wide receiver in the Raiders going to be worth drafting at all? Like, is that an offense we really want to target at all in any capacity?
The only one that I really know off the top of my head is Ruggs. I mean, what else do they got going on out there? I don't even. I mean, like the LA is just such an afterthought in my mind. Besides Waller and maybe Carr in a 2 QB league or something. I know, like, you know what I mean.
I think is Zay Jones still there? Like maybe. Yeah. I think. Let's go over it now. Now I'm really interested. It's all Waller, by the way. Waller is the guy who's the number one target by a mile. Like, Brian Edwards, Hunter Renfrow, Willie Snead, and Zay Jones. I don't want any of that.
No. Just a random DFS week when because one thing I learned last year, LA plays Kansas City extremely well, and somebody's going to blow up. So let's keep an eye on that. For when they play each other, but I'm not picking up any of those guys for seasonal.
No, I can't do it. And I know Edwards is getting a little bit of the hype train. So if I look into it more and I can get convinced, then I would try. But I'm not going out and seeking any Raiders wide receivers. If Edwards, I'm in a spot where Edwards is kind of there and I got nothing else that I like, sure. But no, I'm not going out and like actively targeting any of the Raiders receivers. All right, so we'll get to your last one here. We're talking about the top 5 must-avoid wide receivers. Last one for you, Stoweby.
This last one's kind of tough. I'm going through this list right now. I'm taking a look. There's a few.
That's why we have
guys.
you on the show. We know you can make the tough
Yeah.
decisions, man. We know
You
you can
know
do
what?
it.
I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb on a late round guy that a lot of folks seem to love. Mecole Hardman.
Wow. You mean Win Daily darling Mecole Hardman? Oh, no, we can't do that. Jason, make sure Jason's not listening. Make sure Jason's not listening.
Look, I know he's a 4. I know he runs 4-2. I know what they're planning to do. They're planning to put them opposite each other and run all these complex concepts. But his hands aren't nearly as good as Tyreek. He's not Tyreek light. I'm not sure what he is. He tends to he drops a bunch of passes. He runs kind of sloppy routes. His route tree is kind of limited compared to what Tyreek can do, a little bit of everything. That's why when you saw last year, every time when like Mecole was supposed to break out, a guy like a Byron Pringle would be the one to catch the touchdown. You know what I mean? Or a Sammy Watkins when he was there. I mean, maybe him moving into that true number 2 spot will make a difference. But if he comes in and he looks bad and he's running a bunch of sloppy routes and making a bunch of mistakes, they'll put Byron Pringle in there and they don't care. They're still good. They still have Tyreek. They still have Clyde Edwards-Helaire. They still have Travis Kelce, and they still have Patrick Mahomes. All they need is a body out there that can get open and catch the ball. They don't care who it is. That they've proven they can get to the Super Bowl with just a tight end and a wide receiver at this point and a quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely.
I mean, and I very well may end up. This is one. That's why I was kind of looking. I'm kind of like,
well, I think
tough,
one thing I've understood about the Chiefs and just how Andy Reid kind of views that team. Like, everybody's concerned about who is the number 2 receiver. Do they have enough receivers? Like, Demarcus Robinson's not any good. Byron Pringle's not any good, and they're going to make it work. Like, this passing offense just doesn't really cares on the receiving end because Mahomes is going to get it to him no matter what. And I know that sounds like a little, but they got to get open. I get it. But like this offense is such a well-oiled machine at this point. Like Brian Pringle has had big games. Demarcus Robinson has had big games. And I don't think either of them are really that good. Mecole Hardman to me is one of the most talented outside of Tyreek Hill. But I just don't think they specifically focus on those 2 guys. That's just not this offense.
It just seems he's still like, I don't know how, but he's still raw for somebody that's been in the league for a couple of years. Now, I mean, I could very well be wrong, and he slides into this number 2 spot. And he starts getting these targets, and he starts getting 5, 6, 7 targets a game, and I'll have egg over my face, and I'm willing to own that. He was kind of one that I was on the fence on, but I didn't want to just give all the usual, give all the usual suspects. And when you get down into like 150 in your ADP,
it's hard to say to must avoid anybody because
you know what I mean, because
you're just throwing shots in the dark and hoping, or if trying to throw things at the wall and see if it sticks. And it's hard to say must avoid in those.
And y'all don't want me sitting here saying something like some crazy stuff like stay away from like DeAndre Hopkins or some crazy stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
By the way,
must avoid DeAndre Hopkins. Don't ever draft him.
Oh man, we got a cut for TikTok. Look, you just put the names up and then I'll.
Well, I don't have the lighting for that. I'm not well equipped for TikTok. I can't do it.
I'm
Jason wants me to do the milk crate challenge.
I heard that. No, what I'm thinking about doing is picking the same outfit from that one person, like the same thing they wear. And I'm going to do my own TikTok the exact same way, but I'm going to put like random third stringers on there, like a Reggie Beggleton or something like that. Just people that nobody even knows about. So they go look it up. I'm just going to do that because there's no context on those videos. That's what I mean, that's the whole point of what we're trying to say to these folks, but they don't seem to understand it.
Yeah. TikTok is, I'm not very good at it. That's all I say. I suck at the tick and the talk. It's just not for me. I'll stick to my really crappy tweets, which I have a lot of them. So you can follow them all at Jon Jansen 34, by the way. You can follow Stoby's at Stoweby.
Yes. I'm tons of fun.
Clip that one. That's the clip. That's the clip from the show. I'm tons of fun. That's how we're going to end things here at WinDailySports.com. All sponsored by the Sharp app. We'll be back tomorrow. Closing out the week, baby.
Yeah, it is.
Is that our song? Is that the theme song? That is it for us. WinDailySports.com. We'll be back tomorrow right here on Win Daily Sports.